Are you kidding? That was great. Mary Jane is Black Cat. How did this happen? No, it's not the multiverse. No, it's not a movie set. It's a random Spider-Man tie-in. Because they could, and the variants. Oh, the many variants. Once more, my lack of a Black Cat themed wig comes back to rear its ugly head. The universe is trying to tell me something. I need to waste money buying a Black Cat wig. Greetings, comic lovers, and welcome back to Casually Comics, the channel where we chat all things comics, from reviews, comics new and old, to history to anecdotes, really wherever our whims take us. Now, while this is a short one-shot tie-in, there is a bit of ground to cover as to regards of how we got here. That was oddly phrased, but we're on a roll. We're rolling with it. Mary Jane and Black Cat are teaming up in Mary Jane and Black Cat Beyond #1, aka a one-shot. This is part of the Spider-Man Beyond arc, or era. What are we calling it? Is it an era or an arc? We'll see how long it lasts. This arc sees Peter Parker Spider-Man replaced with Ben Reiley, his clone, after he not only lost his trademark to his name, but was also badly injured and was in a coma for a bit. But he had enough time to give Ben his blessing before he slipped into the coma. You know, as you do. Wear the jean vest. Poor Miles is having to deal with the plot of being sued for copyright infringement over in his series as a result of this arc. Some are reading this as some kind of meta commentary, but we're not here for that. We're here for Mary Jane and Felicia. Hi, Felicia, not bye, Felicia. It's so late. I'm sorry, it's like 2 a.m. With Peter in the hospital, Felicia and Mary Jane have teamed up to keep tabs on him. Not only to make sure that nobody tries anything, to make sure that he himself doesn't try anything. When he awakens or recovers and just tries to leap back into superhero life. So that's the setup for this. So Mary Jane and Felicia are both already in close proximity to each other because of what had happened to Peter. This tie-in also was an opportunity to examine where their relationship stood. Now, time for recording, for it has changed much over the years. When characters have histories, as long as many do in the Marvel and DC universes, there are certain time periods or moments that stand out, that linger or have more of an impact. For MJ and Felicia, that tends to be the period where there was a strong rivalry between them. Not just personally, but between fans as well, and ships. The ship wars still live. Now, while in canon, both characters have moved beyond that, for the most part, they have even had previous friendship arcs. Despite this, the resentment and jealousy the characters felt towards each other can be, well, dipped back into, or maybe the status quo that some readers assume they still have or feel they should. This one-shot explores that dynamic as it was written by Jed MacKay, who also wrote the 2 Black Cat solo series which ran in 2019 and 2020, and really felt like one series, because it was one of those it stopped and then restarted with the same creative team type deals. So with all of that setup established, I'm Sasha, and yes, do all the cheesy YouTube things. Subscribe if you're enjoying, and please like. I know it's a meme, but it helps. And now let's take a look at some covers. We have a J. Scott Campbell for the main, with both MJ and Felicia rocking the standard Black Cat costume. Full on Campbell anatomy. It's up your alley or it's not. It's not the most thrilling cover as it's more pinup style, but it is true to the tone and also does hint to some of the happenings within. And if you enjoy this art style, it'll really catch your eye. There are of course variants, a couple also by Campbell. The Adam Hughes one plays with the classic MJ line, "Face it, Tiger," and all that. They're all fairly fun and flirty, and playing with the concept that it would be fun for 2 of the more well-known ladies in Peter's life to be teaming up. Double trouble. This story is written by Jed MacKay with art by C.F. Villa. Colors Eric Arciniega. Letters by Travis Lanham. We open on Felicia coming to the hospital to visit Peter, and she's supposed to be drawing attention, like people are stopping to look, full "who is that girl" mode. We have an establishing narration telling us that it's 8 hours till sunup. What's about to occur is going to have a countdown style format, but it's also at the same time not going to have any time pressure. The countdown is there, but you never really feel any impending pressure surrounding the fact that there is time passing. It's not a nail biter type deal, mostly because of the rest of the tone surrounding the heist that they're about to have to pull. Felicia details that she needs to be there to be sure that Peter stays where he is, and also to relieve MJ from her watch. But when she gets there, MJ's just peeved and she has a gun pointed right at her. She just looks so done. In a moment of fun irony, it's the very fact that Felicia has been going to visit Peter that has drawn this villain here rather than Peter himself. Cause Felicia, the known Black Cat, visiting Peter has drawn some intrigue within the villain community. Why is she there? What's so special about Peter Parker? This is Parker Robbins, the Hood, who lost his hood over in a Hawkeye comic, and he wants it back, or rather he wants Felicia to go get it for him. It needs to be stolen back, and it's dangerous, and her series was all about how she was the best cat thief, pulling all the heists. The Hood gives her till sunup to get, well, his hood, or he's gonna shoot Peter. Why only that amount of time? Because he's impatient. He wants results, but he's not really willing to put in any effort. MJ looks so annoyed as he says that he'll shoot her, the moderately famous actress Mary Jane Watson, as well. Yeah, okay, you got it, Robbins. One thing though, I need the girl. What? Why? She's in my crew, you creep. I need her for the job. Would that kind of rumored association get MJ more or less work? Okay, but don't screw me on this, Felicia. Go get your own stuff then. I've literally nothing to lose. That's not true. I mean, you have your clothes, you have that gun, you seem to have your health. Maybe you're staying someplace. Misuse of the word literal. She doesn't say it. Of course she doesn't. She's perfect after all. So what's the plan, Cat? She doesn't say this is my fault. MJ wants in on this heist, but Black Cat says she can't because, well, she's an actress and a civilian, and they're about to go deal with supervillains. All of these are very valid points. But MJ says that Peter is in danger. Is there really any time to argue? So there. Can you imagine the dark version of this story where they go and she just instantly gets killed? Man, that would really harsh the vibe. Too dark even for DC's dark multiverse. Fine, have it your way, Red, but you better not slow me down. Yay! 7 hours to sunup and a decent recap that could actually inspire someone who is interested to read Hawkeye Freefall, which you really don't need to understand this. Black Cat is at the extravagant movie night of Count Nefaria. Wine and popcorn? The man is a sommelier. I love that they're in a rundown area of the warehouse district and he's still got his throne. Class. Pure class. That and the wine and popcorn combo. Count Nefaria is not going out of his way to be menacing here. In fact, he's more played for comic relief. As well, he refuses to talk to Black Cat. He's thrilled to talk to the moderately famous, according to Parker Robbins, actress Mary Jane Watson, especially when she has some hot goss, their words, not mine, on a movie star his favorite. This moment is a mileage varies one for some. Some view it as a delegitimization of the threat that Count Nefaria should pose, while others feel it is in keeping with the tone the story is set up, which is a very lighthearted romp. Minions, a seat for Miss Watson. Black Cat's ever-loyal henches, Bruno and Dr. Corpse, have gotten the list of all the people who were there when Robbins lost his hood. So they've got to go see all of them. They got 7 hours. But it's okay, because they're gonna do it via montage, and also without any time cards explaining how much each little individual thing is taking, so you're not gonna feel any pressure. If South Park taught us anything, it's that you can at least double or triple the amount you can accomplish if you do it via montage. I had to suspend my disbelief pretty hard for this panel of MJ having beaten up the Shocker. Justice for the Shocker. Peter was already gonna hunt him to the ends of the earth.
Shocker! You can't escape me! I'll chase you to the ends of the earth!
That aside, the panel is nicely laid out, with the two of them framing the center bits like that. I hope no one gets pics of MJ hanging out with the Rhino, or her agent may have to answer some questions. Through all of this, they learn that a demon in the form of a duffel bag has the hood, and that duffel bag is in the possession of Tombstone. So excited to see Tombstone popping up places again. Tombstone relevance. Well, good thing we have the best thief in town on our side. You are the best thief in town, right? Bite your tongue, of course I am. They then proceed to hype up Tombstone and say all the resources that he has and all the information, but at the same time it makes what's about to happen also feel like it then happens very easily, which then makes him feel like less of a big deal. Ultimately, it undermines him a little bit. Felicia says that he has ears on the streets, and he's gonna hear about all of these people they've been visiting and put 2 and 2 together. So, you ready to suit up, Red? So, Black Cat rappels down against the window panes, crashes into the room where the safe is, only to be confronted by Tombstone and his massive knife. Now that's a knife. You're too slow. I already ripped you off.
How? No one's that good.
That's the thing, Tombstone. The Black Cat is that good.
No one does Tombstone like that. Has she done something with her hair?
Lots of people make fun of the mask, but the truth is, people are lazy. Our brains work in shorthand. We see something we recognize, and our brains lock onto that detail. We fill in the blanks with what we expect. You're in a high-stress situation, and you see white hair, a chic cat suit, and that little mask. So as the build-up reveals, while also hyping up that MJ is an actress, and a good one, no matter what Mr. Parker Robbins says, it was MJ who was Black Cat for Tombstone. She absconded with an empty duffel bag, and then when Tombstone left to follow her, then Black Cat came and stole the real thing. Which is where the panel I posted in the community tab comes from. Wig life! I think I need to commit to getting a long platinum wig now. It's happening. It will happen. It was inevitable. Now for some, the explanation of how they pulled this off is gonna hold weight. And it will be fun to see MJ getting in on some action. While others may lament the loss of civilian characters just getting to be civilians and playing into those strengths. Perhaps preferring the pumping up of the acting elements rather than the swinging from the rooftops elements. Playing to the skills MJ has rather than assigning her new ones. Letting civilian characters shine for what they are rather than seemingly trying to make them more. While again, others won't mind suspending their disbelief for this one shot, or some may even prefer more action-oriented Mary Jane. With 90 minutes till sunrise, they have it, the demon duffel bag. It's pretty gross, but it could be grosser. Could have made it look all wet inside, so you don't want to reach in there, teeth aside. Just get in and make it glisten, glistening, little. With 15 minutes to spare, they return. Black Cat wearing the hood, because why not? It is pretty great. Ta-da.
Take that off.
They give him the goods, but not before revealing that they made a deal with the duffel bag demon. It got a taste for the hood and wanted the owner as well. That's pretty dark, Felicia. Also, MJ will kill for Peter, confirmed. Unless, oh no, he's not dead. He's in a horrible duffel bag realm with a fate worse than death. It's fine. Trapped inside a duffel bag demon. Some things are worse than dying. The panel of him being eaten by the duffel bag is pretty cool, but again, it could have gone harder. I just want more from the duffel bag demon. MJ looks horrified, but not as horrified as I am, but whatever is going on in the hand area here, it just looks off. Something has been changed. It looks like a finger was erased or something. Just me, or are you seeing it too? I couldn't look away. That was horrible. Are you kidding? That was great. Peter awakens briefly to see them both in the black cat costume so we can have a threesome joke. Somebody call Hal Jordan. Actually, someone should call Oliver Queen because he started that. Somebody call somebody.
Oh, okay. It's this stream again. Be gentle, please.
I know who they should call. Tracy Scoffs, because someone has clearly been reading their comics. If you know, you know. If you go research, it is not safe for work in the slightest. You've been warned. Now this line was read multiple ways by different people. Some read as confirmation that Peter dreams of the OT3, a throuple. A Peter doesn't need to choose, he can date them both. Some said he should go full Krakoa, to which I'm sure some replied, never go full Krakoa. Others received it less well and felt it undermined the relationship that he had with one or both of them. Still for others it was a throwaway joke that either landed or didn't. The rest of the issue is dedicated to MJ and Black Cat having a heart-to-heart, or more well Black Cat having a heart-to-heart with MJ. Telling her how she feels. It's kind of a meta-ish conversation about how both women are perceived. Black Cat as the bad girl and MJ as the perfect one, which for those who read Spider-Man are already aware that is an oversimplification. While it could be described that way, there was more going on for both women, but from the outside looking in, it could appear that way and has been described that way. Oh, also Black Cat teases MJ about having a dump truck ass. I mean, I wasn't sure if your dump truck ass would fit in one of my suits. Now, she may have been teasing her, but personally, I would love a dump truck. But some took this as canon confirmation that MJ is dummy thick, and felt that if that is the case, they would like to see it. You can't just say it and then not share it with the world. Sharing is caring. Which I mean, if MJ is about to go full Pixar mom, it would be nice to have that reflected in the art. There were numerous opportunities in this story to back it up like a Tonka truck, and they were not taken. Sad times. Also, for those who are amused by memes, which I am, perhaps take the time to check out the Pixar mom dump truck meme. It's pretty fun if you're into that kind of thing. Back to actual emotional catharsis. I'll admit, it was kind of fun being the bad girl for a night. The bad girl. I hate that that's what I am in his life. I'm not jealous of you. I'm not trying to get him back. But our time together was important to me. It was part of what made me who I am. He was the first man I ever loved. But from the outside, I'm the bad girl, the distraction, until the good girl wins in the end, the perfect one. It sucks. So a lot of things to unpack here. We're gracefully sidestepping that early era of Black Cat and skipping to when they were more established as a couple. Just gotta dash right past that whole I stole these things so you'd love me like daddy bit. Which fair, most people skip over that bit or forget that it happened. I say skip because they're about to acknowledge things that are further back in canon than that. This is decently handled, for it's talking about a couple of things, both on a character and meta level. On a meta level, it's talking about the narrative tendency to break female characters down to archetypes of good girl versus bad girl, which can be an oversimplification which does them a disservice if leaned into too hard. And it can deprive stories and characters of their full potential. Although it can also be well implemented, it depends. It's like anything, it varies. On the other hand, this woman acknowledges from a character level that Black Cat and Spider-Man's history was important for her development, both in and out of this story, for her character as a whole, and acknowledges that while also recognizing that dichotomy played into it. Although it doesn't really acknowledge that that whole bad girl energy was a big part of what made her so popular. But one would have to get really meta for that, and this is staying tastefully so. It's not slapping you in the face style commentary. You can look past it and just take it on a surface story level if one wants to. So this doesn't throw her history with Peter away, which is nice, and the way she regrets that that's how she is regarded reads as personal to her rather than an indictment of the concept as a whole. And they actually build upon this by having MJ just start laughing. I know exactly how you feel. I was the bad girl at first. I was the party girl, always getting into trouble somewhere, and there was Gwen Stacey, and she was perfect. And that's true. Someone acknowledges perfect pre-death Gwen Stacey, post-Ditko pre-death. While there tend to be more than two women circling Peter at any given point, just all the ladies all the time, there are usually two in the foreground, some that rise to dominate, Betty and Veronica style. After Gwen lost her Steve Ditko characterization, which had her very much in angry Ice Queen territory, she became an essentially flawless character who was Stan Lee's ideal endgame girl for Peter, while MJ was this wild child presented as having all these flaws as an attempt to make her less appealing, as fans had taken to her from her first appearance. Unlike the Black Cat MJ dynamic, prior to her death, Gwen didn't have much going on. She was good and MJ was flawed. The Black Cat MJ storyline had much richer inner lives for the woman at that point. You're not not a footnote in anyone's life. This moment provides some nice commonality between the two, acknowledging their past rivalry but also moving them past it. It feels for the most part like a mature exchange, with some interesting points being made and callbacks to past canon to highlight the fact that it mattered and that it did shape these characters. It also feels as though a canon could be being committed to moving forward, of course, time of recording, because resets could happen at any time. There could be many reasons for these two to dislike each other again in the future, but it doesn't necessarily have to do with a desire to be with Peter. It can be some other most likely Peter-related thing, as they are both originally Spider-Man supports in all fairness. Overall, this moment does more work for Black Cat than MJ, which is understandable as McKay has been writing the Black Cat comics, so this feels like it's working through thoughts about Black Cat with MJ notes as an accent. MJ doesn't really move past that perception that Felicia has of her of being perfect. In this story, she kinda is, which doesn't make her feel like the most dimensional character. She's great at everything, understanding, and has a dump truck. The most one can say about her is that she's a little stubborn, but even that is painted as a positive. It would have been nice to see her also have some kind of flaw, as we get to see Black Cat feel vulnerable and also be a bit sadistic. The circumstances that these two found themselves in the story lent themselves to them getting along, as does the overall tone that they've both moved past that period of their history with Spider-Man, but it's also given them something they can relate to, an experience that is unique to them that very few people can talk about. So it feels less forced, which can happen when in an attempt to reverse the all females are rivals trope, some swing the pendulum too far into all female characters are friends. It is okay to have two female characters have beef with each other, not everybody has to like everybody. Leaning into either of these tropes too far is not good. Some characters should get along and others shouldn't, based on their personality traits or the circumstances or being betrayed or the plot something. And this should happen regardless of sex or gender. There was a period where Felicia and MJ disliking each other made a lot of sense and was an interesting story beat. And for a little bit, them fighting over Peter also made sense. But it doesn't have to be their whole history or the only thing that the two can do. It's a plot that can be done, but it's a plot that if overdone loses its appeal. Though mileage will of course vary. Some feel that to present females as rivals in any capacity is damaging, while others may prefer that while these two not be rivals, they be less friendly. Or some may not like the MJ as endgame vibe that this seems to give off, as some really did enjoy Felicia and Peter together. Some others won't be down for an OT3 or any kind of hinting at an OT3, preferring a more traditional pairing. Or some might prefer that neither of these women be with Peter. Some are still missing that Mary Jane solo series, or want more of the Black Cat series. More heists, please. Now when it comes to discussing female characters, some shy away from comparing them at all, feeling that the comparison itself is inherently sexist, or feeling that female characters are compared more and some feel for more superficial reasons, or reasons favoring the male characters, while others shy away from that thought process, feeling that it is natural to compare in certain circumstances. For example, if both women were love interests for the protagonists of a series, then fans will have thoughts and opinions about who was better and why, and that in general comparing characters is commonplace, and that the characters who get compared tend to be the ones people find interesting or have something to say about or some level of investment in, so it need not be inherently negative, and that it can just be another form of engagement, while others feel it depends and it varies from situation to situation and comparison to comparison, and for others still it's meh and not that deep. This was an interesting moment in conversation, and one that will hit different for many people, for a variety of reasons. Knowledge of Spider-Man lore, their feelings on the characters, their own subject positionings, lots of things. We end on a joke about wondering how Spider-Man can pull so many babes, which is a bit of a meta fan joke, a question you may have seen asked around. They say it must be the universe compensating him for getting beat up so much. The end! I mean, Peter's always been depicted as average to traditionally attractive looking, although I know the glasses were a bigger deal back in the day, but he wasn't depicted as traditionally unattractive, and he's always been depicted as really smart and with lots of potential, so it's not that big of a stretch. Also, last panel, my dump truck, where is it? Promises were made. So that was Mary Jane and Black Cat Beyond. It's more in keeping with the overall tone of Black Cat series than Spider-Man's, which makes sense given the author. It's not a story with high stakes and feels more like a framing device for the conversation that comes at the end. More like set up for a couple of jokes and to hype up the concept of an MJ-Felicia friendship, plus work through some thoughts on their relationship to Peter and to each other. On those fronts it works well. As a heist story with actual stakes, not so much. There's no urgency to anything, and Peter never really feels like he's in any peril, and neither does MJ, despite her relative inexperience in the field of cat burglary. Now MJ does have a history of being pretty hardcore and saving herself, and getting into some action here and there. So if one is familiar with that, some of what she does here will be par for the course. But some may still have to push the suspension a little far, with the rappelling down into windows cameos and the like. The villains in this are far from threatening, and most are played for comedy, which if one is liking the tone will land. If not, it may be irritating or feel like their overall menace factor is being diminished. The art tended towards favoring emotion or tone over staying on model, so sometimes the expression could come across more cartoonish than not. On the other hand, it was easy to tell what characters were thinking and feeling. Overall, this one shot for me was a good time, and it was interesting to see some of these pieces of canon revisited. Of course, those are just my opinions, and I want to hear yours. Do you hate it? Hate their friendship? Bring back the rivalry? Only mud wrestling battles over Peter accepted? Did you have fun with this? Did it need more dump truck? Do you feel like MJ and Felicia would be friends? Justice for the shocker? Tell me things down below. While you're down there, please do all the YouTube things. Like, share, comment, subscribe, and hit that bell notification so that you never miss a vid. Thanks so much for taking this time of your day spent discussing comics with me. I always appreciate it, and I will see you again soon. Bye-bye.